Okay, the next thing in TULIP is a U, and it stands for Unconditional Election. Again, they're stuck on the Armenians. The Armenians, because they were having the stupid idea that faith has merit, they were thinking that, well, if God elects me to be saved, it's because of my merit. No, stupid, it's because of Christ's merit. Duh. But then the Armenians didn't know how to read the Bible either. And therefore, the right definition of unconditional election is not the Calvinist definition. The Calvinist definition is that God puts his hand over his eyes and just picks. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, but really that's what it is. They basically claim that God can't even look at his knowledge. Oh, well then God has to deny his own truth? Truth is an attribute of God. Knowledge is an attribute of God. You know, this is patently stupid. It makes God into an idiot. So obviously they're wrong. You know, false doctrine always fails common sense. Now, what's the correct definition of unconditional election? The correct definition of unconditional election is actually recorded for you to know in Isaiah 52:13 through 15, which I just covered in my latest Isaiah 53 video. The actual decree to create is in Isaiah 52:13 through 15. He decrees, God the Father, you know, acting as chairman of the board, decrees to create Christ, my servant, Abdi, Yaskil Abdi Yarum. That's Isaiah 52:13 in Hebrew. He decrees to create Christ, and then everything comes from that. So all that stupid Calvinism nonsense about supralapsarian or sublapsarian, forget it. Just forget it. Just use the Bible. The Bible's right. So God's unconditional election it means it's unconditional in that he, no matter what, he chooses anybody who believes in Christ. Okay, well, belief in Christ is non-meritorious. That's the most important thing to understand. I believe in buying a can of tomatoes because of its merit. I believe in Christ because of his merit. And I don't believe, if I don't believe, because I'm trying to claim merit of my own. See? It's really simple. Calvinists will never understand that. So the correct definition of unconditional election is that God elects anybody who believes in Christ, no matter what else they are. Alright? And that's in Isaiah 52:13 through 15, and of course you can see it again in many other passages like John 3:16, blah, blah, blah. The next thing in TULIP is the L, and that stands for limited atonement. It is one of the stupidest doctrines ever to hit. I don't know, I think counting the rosary beads is actually smarter than the Calvinist doctrine of limited atonement. The Calvinist idea of limited atonement is that Christ only paid for those who are the elect. Okay, but the problem with that, first of all, is that the Bible contradicts them on every turn. Even the verses that they use, the Bible contradicts them, like 1 John 2:2. You can even read it in translation and know that the Calvinists are wrong. But more fundamentally, if their argument were that Christ only paid for the elect, then Christ didn't love God, because he didn't pay for everybody. And God is stupid and an idiot because he didn't get payment for everybody when he could have. And God is this sadist because one of the arguments the Calvinists make is that God is somehow compensated by all the suffering in hell. What a crock. If God was compensated by suffering in hell, we'd all be there. See, false doctrine always fails common sense, and then, of course, it fails Bible, too. So what's the correct definition for atonement? Obviously, it's unlimited. Christ paid Dad for everything. Okay, it says that in Isaiah 53:10. It says that in 1 John 2:2. It says that, you know, you all know the verses. You know, there's a lot of stuff out here on the internet, so I don't really need to, you know, acquaint you with it. Christ paid God for everything. God paid for everything. That's the Godward application of salvation. It's the up part. All right? Up. Up to God, payment is total. All right? That's what happened. Atonement in Hebrew is kafer. It means the payment he made, not whether or not we get it. There's two different things. You got the up, and then you got the down. The finger up got paid 2,000 years ago. God got paid. The finger down would be whether or not it applies to me. All right? So the payment up to God was unlimited. All the sins in human history got imputed to Christ. Im tasim asham nafsho. There's no limitation there. That's Hebrews 53:10 in Hebrew. Okay, im tasim asham nafsho. If he will appoint his soul as a substitute for sin, total. Okay, there's no qualifying adjective there to restrict asham. All right, that's the Hebrew word for substitute actually. Now, as a substitute for sin, that's also Romans 5:8. All sin, no limit. That got paid to God. Okay, but that doesn't mean it gets paid to me. That's where the limit comes in. So you ought to change, first of all, they ought to change the L to limited application instead of limited atonement. Keep the LA the same. The limited application, it's an unlimited atonement which results in a limited application, limited to the decree. In 52:13, my son, if you don't believe in the Son, you don't get saved, period. God got paid, but you don't, because you don't want to. It's John 3:16. If I believe in Christ, this is one thing the Calvies tend to get right. All I do is believe in Christ and I'm saved forever. That's true. All right? But if I don't want to, then it doesn't apply to me. So it's atonement made. The question is it going to be an application made to me? And so the application is limited. The redemption is limited. That's the Bible keyword for it. Kana. The redemption is limited to those who believe in Christ. But the payment was unlimited. So that's how you correct limited atonement. Finish. And you all know the verses on that.